one of the things we talked about was education and what education really is. And depending on the individual who's giving the education versus the one who's receiving the education, can be enlightening and transformative, or it can be destructive and denigrating. And for most of people in our culture, it has been that way. But we did learn that in order for us to understand where we are and overstand where we are, we have to get back to the root, get back to the beginning, get back to the basics, back to Eden. That's why we have those initiatives. It isn't just a cool tagline, but it's deeply connected to identity, spiritual concepts and ideals that are embedded in our DNA. I see the Bible as a book of DNA, bloodlines. That's really important for us to understand as we're moving forward, as we're being educated, so that when we imbibe education that are coming from different cultures, like in the previous episode, you talked about how Britain took over the Western world and pushed English as the major language, because the French was there, the Spanish was there. As you could tell here, I'm in California, LA. Most of the language is Spanish was here first, because New Spain was running this place before the other European powers came. So different European powers, whether it be the Dutch, Denmark, or Belgium, all these different European countries colonized in their own different ways because they as a people thought a certain way, right? And they came in and were in areas ecologically that were different from the garden, or aka Africa. Africa being in the center of the earth in every hemisphere was connected to the equator. So we would respond to nature and nature will respond to us, and it was a beautiful relationship. Whereas in regions that were further away, they didn't have the sun as much. So right. They had to go into certain areas to stay warm, and they had to find out, they had to survive. So that type of instinctive desire to survival of the fittest and all these types of concepts came from an ecological standpoint that is embedded in the construct of the mind and in the DNA to certain levels. So when you now intermingle with different types of people and interconnect and learn and educate and so forth and so on, you're speaking from so many different perspectives. It's like, can a bee educate a wasp? Can a lion educate a puma? To a degree, but there's going to be some nuances and differences.